welcome to the Dynamic CIO Talk Show once again. This is the talk show. We look forward to great conversations with technology and business leaders. I'm your host, Rahul Neelmani. I'm the co-founder and editor of Greyhead Media, and with me is my co-host, Smriti Gandhi. She's the Director, Community Engagement and Executive Editor with me. To set the context, I would like to spend around 2 minutes before we invite our guest formally. We have seen a lot of life-changing events in the past 14 to 15 months. While the devastation caused by pandemic has been extremely tragic, very traumatic and turbulent. However, as the human instinct is, life never stopped. A country of 1.4 billion people, with its vastness of the geography, difficulty level of a very unique kind, we have been somehow managing the story of growth pretty well. If I can say so, that our farmers have never stopped producing the farm produce, and therefore we got foods and grain supplies uninterruptedly. Our dairy farmers haven't stopped supplying the products, and that's why there was zero disruption in that space as well. Similarly, there have been many such successful efforts that have kept us moving, and therefore the growth hasn't been bad at all. I mean, it has always been in the sight. During the lockdown and otherwise too, when the rules were eased, when things became little normal in between, still the majority of consumers preferred shopping online and pay using digital payment methods. That has been a remarkable success and a remarkable story as far as India is concerned. The online transactions, e-commerce, mobile wallet payments have all grown exponentially. So much so that the Indian e-commerce industry has been on an upward growth trajectory. The online retail market in India is estimated to be 25% of the total organized retail market and is expected to reach 37% by 2030. By 2034, it is predicted to surpass the United States to become the second largest e-commerce market globally. There's no prize to guess which is the first one. There's going to be, of course, China. So without further ado, today we have with us an industry evangelist, a pioneering personality, Shouvik Banerjee. Shouvik is the Vice President for Digital Initiatives and the CTO of Tata Digital, Tata Click at the Tata Industries Limited. As I said, he's a tech evangelist and entrepreneur by heart, has built 2 successful startups and sold them in the UK. He has been ranked right at the top of global CTOs by onlineeducation.com. Shouvik also holds a fantastic track record in P&L roles where he has delivered exponential growth across India and Europe for organizations such as Infosys, Accenture, and SAP. And here's the best for the last to describe him. He's an avid cricketer who has represented West Bengal in Ranji Trophy. I am amazed to see a cricketer turning entrepreneur, turning into a digital evangelist and a leader like him. Welcome, Shouvik. Welcome to the show. How have you been?
I've been good, Rahul, and thank you for having me.
Great. So let me begin with this very unique and unusual thing that from cricket, that too at a very serious level, which is Ranji Trophy, which we call the bedrock for any cricketer to knock the doors for the national team, to becoming a digital leader, an entrepreneur, a business connoisseur. It sounds very surprising and very interesting to me. Can we have this journey captured in a nutshell by you?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting journey. Grew up in a very typical middle-class family. Father was a professor of quantum physics. So on one hand was science embedded in my DNA, whereas my mother was actually a fantastic student, but in her youngest teenage, late teens, she represented Bengal in the first women's Ranji Trophy side. And of course, then she went on to be a broadcaster. So my maternal side is very sporty. My paternal side is very entrenched in research, invention. Scientists are there, and it was a combination which led to me playing sports from the age of 12. Yes, I typically in India during the 90s, early 90s, you have to go through grade cricket, you have to go through club cricket, university cricket. Under 19, I played for under 19 Bengal, got selected to be playing for under 19 India. Then, of course, club cricket in Bengal leads to being selected in Ranji Trophy, played with many greats from Saurav to Sabha to Arun Lal to name whoever you name at that time who were the champions coming out of Bengal. But I realized there was no IPL. Father was a professor. Both of them supported me to the hilt. And I started going to England to play club cricket. A little bit of minor counties, a little bit of professional club cricket. And father said to me that, if you think that you're not going to make it to the Indian squad, and there was the domestic cricket was not that strong in late 90s. What IPL has brought to domestic cricket is a pure livelihood, which is the best thing which has happened to the best sport in the country. So I took a decision, consensus decision, to stop playing in Bengal, still kept playing as a professional in England, and migrated to finishing my, I was a decent student, some completely a fluke, but I loved maths. So then started studying, finished my master's, got into a research doctorate, finished a PhD in neural networks, artificial intelligence back in the day, and then opened up my online music.com platform where I was selling mini discs and LPs when Napster was evangelizing free music downloads. So that business played well. I did another research doctorate in physical robotics earlier in the 2000s. And then slowly was up in Scotland, then came down in Yorkshire, Newcastle. So slowly started getting into the industry. Had a very successful stint with barcode scanning device being found by myself, having then sold it to Casio and then rolled it out to Tesco's. First entrepreneurial stint was a .com, and I thoroughly enjoyed. I was one of the newest at that point in time. People never knew in northeast of England or in the world what a pure .com was. Broadband was slowly getting penetrated, and then my journey to building .com started from the northeast of England, building very many things, very many .coms for European commerce enterprises. Then moved down to London in 2006-7 and started working for Dan Wagner, who was a pioneer in internet businesses by then already. And then that led to me becoming head of Towgate, part of Royal Bank of Scotland's internet businesses, building them. Then was picked up by BG Srinivasan, who was the leader at Infosys in Europe as part of NRN's team, became the head of e-commerce for Infosys. Then again, progression, was a founder member of Accenture Digital. Now in those days, we looked after many .coms, but prima facie, I still remained a programmer and a geek and a technology architect at heart. And of course, delivery and P&L came organically. And then, of course, post Accenture, I joined SAP after a few months as their global chief of technology and architecture. I was tasked to say that there's a 4G insurgence which has happened in India. Reliance Group has picked up the spectrum licenses. Of course, SAP and Reliance had been in relationship for 40 years from Dhirubhai days. So from Canary Wharf to Ghansoli, I took a flight with my elder. I never knew I'll not go back to England. And when I say not go back, I'm still technically a British national, but my love for India and Mumbai started from understanding what the world we were building. And parallelly to building Reliance at Jio, I was tasked to build Tata Click on behalf of SAP. And those went out in similar times. I was going back to England. the group leadership in Tata Group offered me a leadership position as a CTO for Tata Click, which I was helping build, and the CTO for Tata Industries. So that went on to building Tata Click Luxury, Tata Click Marketplace. Geo had already gone live. No relationship left with Geo because I had moved on to Tata Group. And in 2019, I washed my hands of Tata Click in Tata Industries. And then Tata Digital was brewing. I was again going back, and then I said, let's build Tata Digital. So, yeah, second employee of Tata Digital after Prateek. First, just a few of us started hot desking in Bombay House. And now Tata Digital is what you hear about in the media. Super app, lots of acquisitions, mergers. And yeah, primarily being a geek, but I still play cricket. I have never missed a season. So I play cricket in Mumbai. I play cricket with my ex-SAP colleagues. And whenever I get an opportunity, I just pick up the bat and a ball because the cricketer in me remains, because I am a true example of an accidental technologist.
I mean, this is something which I want to extend for a moment before I hand over to Smriti for the next round of questions. I mean, it's so fascinating. A cricketer. It's very difficult for a cricketer, an avid cricketer who has played Ranji Trophy and who has played with legends of all times, including Saurav Ganguly. Uh, how often do you miss the ground? And parallelly, if I can ask, have you taken some really good leadership lessons from the game of cricket that you had applied? Although you've said that you are a coder, you are a technologist, but are there some essential leadership lessons that you carry from the world of cricket?
I don't miss cricket because I still keep playing. I mean, I'm 45. I mean, the legs are a bit wobbly, the knees are a bit weak, the shoulders, I have to exercise a lot to keep myself fit. But I still play. I mean, during the break between first lockdown and second lockdown, I went and played 6 games. And so I keep in touch. I do nets. What you haven't noticed is I don't have an MBA. And I don't want to do an MBA ever. Though I have been offered many executive sponsored B school MBAs by all my ex-employers.
But you are a PhD. I mean,
No,
MBA
but
should
MBA is an MBA. So
MBA
the
should be
people,
feeling inferior to
I
you
agree.
by
I
all
agree. But
means.
the people, there is one school which believes that leaders are born to have a great MBA. I defy it because my MBA was my cricketing ground. If you play 20 years professional sports, you learn how to manage. You learn how to collaborate and be a team man. You learn how to lose. Sports teaches the only thing which teaches you how to lose. I watched something amazing a few days back. This is where I actually realized that sports actually teaches you how to lose, and next morning you again and go and play. So you shut it off. And winning is not always important. Target is important. Chasing something which you aspire to is important. Being a subject matter expert. If you're a leader in today's leadership definition is you have to be a subject matter expert. You can't be a generalist. Also, what teaches you is conflict management and application of intelligence thought, application of intelligence immediately. How do you manage crisis? This crisis happens in sports all the time. And fundamentally, what it teaches you is to be a great leader, you have to take a back seat. You have to let your team be in the front. So the principles of leadership, which I take from cricket, are organization first, team second, self last. And if you see cricket and if you see leaders, great leaders in cricket, from Gary Sobers to Virat Kohli, always talk about country first, team second, self last. So there is very many similes you can derive. And those are attributes I implement, I execute, I work with lakhs of youngsters across all sorts of Tata Group companies and others where I'm on the board of. And what it allows you to do is If you know how to lose, you know how to win. So that, I think Rahul, I think you're on mute.
No, I was purposely on mute, but it is mesmerizing. I must say, hats off that we are talking to you today. Over to you, Smriti. Go on.
I echo Rahul's words. It is mesmerizing. It is fascinating. The kind of stuff what you're saying. What a great leader should be. In a simple words, you're just putting cricket and management together, and what you're saying is the right. You put your organization first, your team second, and yourself third. So I have no other words apart from what Rahul said. As I said, echoing the same words. Fascinating, mesmerizing. Now, let me come to the core topic. As you said in earlier, you've been instrumental in building, Reliance Jio and Tata Click, India's most loved two digital platforms, and made in India. From your talks, your passion for AI, your obsession with futurism of technology, seem very infectious. Could you share some interesting stories about these with our viewers?
See, there is no rocket science in building internet businesses. I have a very, very different principle. And I'm still a very hardcore techie. But the way I build internet businesses, well, the tech part, the product part of it is the front part of your brain drives your fingers. So drives your thumb. The thumb talks to a dumb machine, which we call a smartphone, which is 1 billion people in India use. A smartphone hasn't been innovated, barring the chip, in the last 15, 20 years. We haven't had an invisible smartphone. We don't have a telepathic smartphone. But the smartphone is a static. But the applications the smartphone uses are all dynamic. So a dynamic brain telling a static thumb to work with a static machine which has dynamic apps. So this relationship is very interesting. Now, how do you build tech for it? The customer is talking to a faceless store. The customer is talking to a faceless, identityless bank. The customer is talking to a faceless, identityless financial services offering. But the dynamic app is trying to understand. It is like a physical bank suddenly having a brain. It is like a physical store suddenly talking to you and understanding you as soon as you walk into their planogram. What people don't realize is the geniuses who crack the adoption of millions of users in an app are trying to decode the human behavior. Fundamentally, they're trying to decode the left and the right brain of the human being. I don't know Rahul, I don't know Shruti. Think if the app was a human being. I don't know Rahul, I don't know Shruti. I have to communicate to them and understand their preferences, their intent, their individualization, which is one level below personalization. Rahul likes a check shirt and a semi-framed glass. You could have bought it from Lenskart or from Titan. How do I know that about Rahul? How do I know that about Smriti? So personalization and individualization is the crux to neural networks, because neural networks was invented as a 100,000 percentile power of one of my brains, which got decoded. Then it had many use cases. And AI is a 50-year-old phenomenon. Now, the apps and the dynamic apps, which millions of users are using, whatever you call it, Amazon, Google, Flipkart, Netflix, Red, Tata Click, Nykaa, Best Buy, Home Depot, Walmart, Target, Tesco's, Gojek, Alibaba. Beauty is millions use it. So the product, business, and the technology teams understand it. I think what Reliance and Tata Click did was they made an attempt to understand the user. Hence, there is 400 million adoption of Reliance. hence there is X 100 million adoption of Tata Click. And so is Netflix. Like, you would hate if Netflix gives you only the genres painted like a merchandising screen. The beauty of Netflix is it's individualized. The beauty of any intelligent banking, which is digital banks, or neobanks, it's individualized. Amazon's recommendation, individualized, based on your purchase history. And that's the journey Jio and Tata Click has taken. Have they arrived? The answer is no. Will they arrive? The answer is yes. And augmentation of artificial intelligence is happening in every day in the sphere of life. And that's a journey. And we are in that journey right now.
I am so sorry, but I will trash all the questions that I have prepared. This conversation is actually going into a very different direction, and I'm loving the way you are explaining things. You just mentioned about whether Tata Click or Reliance Jio are right there. You said maybe not, but are they? Are they going to be there? The answer is yes. So, you very well explained about the intuitiveness of the whole systems that are being built to serve the customers and give them the experience. Be it Netflix, be it Spotify, be it any other very evolved.
What a champion of individualization you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, individualization. That's the term. What does it? We in India, most of the people who say that we are doing e-commerce is just right now about delivery. I call it very sophisticated supply chain business and not e-commerce.
It's true.
Right. So what does it take to make that true e-commerce company? And intuitiveness, the app should know what I'm going to ask the app.
You know what? India is a very different country. Rahul, Smriti, I'm sure you're aware of this. America has zip code. What is a zip code? If I ask you, define zip code. Simple answer to it: one building, one house, whether it's an Edwardian house or whether it's a townhouse or whether it's a condo apartments in one building. There is a zip code, there is an extension. It's 1 equal to 1. In UK, we have got postcode.
Yeah.
It's also a building equal to, so it's a unique identifier. It's very easy to deliver things in a country which is the size of Maharashtra. It's very easy to deliver things in a country which has a house as an identifier and whose population is 35 million. Now, cut to India. India has a concept called PIN code. A PIN code covers 3-kilometer radius, 1,000 houses.
I agree.
500 flat towers, which has got 200 flats. I live in a PIN code starting with 400. I don't want to discuss the rest. People live in PIN codes of, say, suppose somebody living in South Bombay, 400001. That PIN code is applicable to Kulaba. That PIN code is applicable to the Causeway. That PIN code is applicable to Fort House. PIN code is applicable to Bombay House. PIN code is applicable to Honeyman Circle. PIN code is applicable to Flora Fountain.
Absolutely.
Now, the beauty India has cracked, and I agree, Rahul, is it's an order-taking engine, and the intelligence is to figure out the logistic and supply chain and distribution to that household. Tremendous amount of intelligence algorithms have gone in. Some people are trying polygon models with lat long to crack it. A lot of grocers, online grocers do. The large .coms and marketplaces like Flipkart and Amazon, they have cracked phenomenal PIN code serviceability from the first time you see anything on a product detail page to the time the human being gets the physical product in their hands. It could be in the interiors of Tiruchirappalli to the upskirts of Darjeeling. It could be in the interiors of Aru Valley to the downskirts of Chennai, in the districts of Hosur. That's what India is. 100,000 pin codes. India Mart, India Post says that. There is extreme amount of artificial intelligence, proactive nature of serviceability to stock to delivery, which works. True nature of commerce, India is yet to unleash it. I'll tell you why. India never had a click and collect as a successful model because of traffic. By the time I go and pick up the food from the restaurant, Swiggy delivers it in 30 minutes to 40 minutes using great players like Shadowfax, Lala Move, Blowhorn, all the fantastic new logistics unicorns, delivery. Beauty is, will India champion click and collect and ship from store or ship from restaurant is already covered. Will India champion e-commerce or commerce? Will India champion, because India's malls are not going to go away. Kiranas are not going to go away. Online ordering will remain and spike more and more. So the beauty is transshipment hubs you will start to see appear, which is like the big basket vending machine under your tower. So transshipment hubs like the Amazon Goes will start to appear. Within a hyper-local 3-kilometer radius, what if Dunzo can do it, there'll be tons of Dunzos. So India will become hyper-local because India is a subcontinent. India is a continent which is bigger than Western Europe. So the next futurism of commerce is physical commerce using the app with a collect request model, but getting delivered while I've ordered it on the store, but getting delivered after a couple of hours before I reach home. So the offline to online will happen, which is the Apple model. Apple champions you to go to the store, but then the relationship is online. So that is going to be the immediate future. I wouldn't stock anything beyond 2 years right now. That's what is going to happen immediately after the pandemic normalizes.
Okay, so one supplementary question, which is a little transactional. You've mentioned about how Amazon has actually championed this whole pin code concept and delivering almost in real time now. They are about to, reach to extent that they will deliver on the same day, same day deliveries and all. Yeah, and so if I ask you, how do you differentiate between the model that Tata Click adopted vis-a-vis a very well-oiled machinery and well-oiled system which runs on multiple algorithms, which Amazon does?
See, I will take a step back and I will say ultimately these are businesses. They have to be profitable. Amazon has the clout and the power to invest, and they've done it in UK, done it in France. They have the long tail, means you can buy a safety pin on Amazon. Two, you can buy a towel on Amazon. Two, you can buy the next iPhone 12 Pro Max on Amazon to the next TV on Amazon. So Amazon's strength is long tail, long term, and Amazon does put in that amount of investment because they have built that investment cloud. But it's 10 years of existence in India. Are they profitable? Unlike Myntra, who are profitable? Is it the warehouse game which will make the companies profitable, or is it a ship from store game? Now, see, the Tata Click model has advantage and disadvantage. The disadvantage is if you completely not do warehouse, your risk of inventory being run out from stores and dark warehouses remains. That's a risk. But Tata Click is also hybrid. It's not completely shipped from store. But Amazon Prime facie have realized that I can't do warehouse. Just to buy warehouse, I have to pick up inventory based on the budget I'm allocated 1st of April. I have to pick up 100,000 units of XXXYZ. That is blocking your cash. Only way I can move that cash is through discounts. And India is slowly maturing and saying that I don't want to play the discount war. I will play top dollar, like what I want for it. For 50,000 product, if I am not getting a substantial discount, 500 rupees ka discount, it doesn't matter. If I'm going to buy a 30,000 rupee phone, he's not bothered about a 1,000 rupee discount because he still has to pay 29,000 rupees. He wants the quality. Challenge with marketplaces is who is listing, validation. The fakes have to go away. The brands are getting eroded. And those brands are basically now championing the cause. It ultimately has to be a profitable business. You can't run a 20-year-old non-profitable business in whatever industry you run. You have to make it EBITDA positive. That's where these experimentation models allows you with low inventory, low infrastructure cost, and make not significant amount and billions of dollars, but make enough to start building a positive EBITDA. So that's where it will head, because no business in the world can fund infinite amount of time of non-profitability.
Absolutely. Smriti.
Thanks, Rahul. What I said earlier was true. Your futurism of technology is very infectious. Coming to this side of the demand side, talking about the consumer, how do you see the changing consumer impacting the delivery and the service models which you just spoke about? And this is like a game which is dynamically digital. What is a recipe for winning the game or staying ahead in it?
I'll tell you something which I have been observing in India. See, this price war nonsense doesn't exist in US and Europe. They are matured e-commerce markets. I always ask the question why. We can always debate that those are matured economies. People have decent amount of wealth, and they are not bothered about the coupon and the voucher or the discounting world. Customers like a product, and they, in today's day and age, they want to be the influencers of that product. So if I buy a lovely red T-shirt, people, if they say, "Oh, you're wearing a lovely red T-shirt," I'll talk about what it is. It's natural human habitat. You go to the villages of India, you say that who's an aspiring farming family, you say that where have you bought this from? They will talk about it. It is a pseudo thinking that the consumer of India is price conscious. Yes, they are, but they're not discount conscious. There are two very strong differences. Am I price conscious? Yes. I will cut my cloth according to my coat. I will buy not a very expensive smartphone. But again, I go back to my earlier point. Am I that discount conscious? India is slowly becoming discount agnostic, being price conscious. As a result, India has got their own boat, a Micromax, a Lava, a Xiaomi, which is a favorite of Indians. Are they all discounted products? The answer is no. And India also is championing iPhones. And India is also championing Voltas, Becos, people, and they're getting the distribution. See, organized retail in India is new. It's a new industry, unlike Europe and America. The three crux and the tenets of a consumer are: I want my product after browse, explore. Whether it's a physical product, I go shop around in the mall. I might buy a dress. I might look at Cotton World. I might look at Global Desi. I might look at Biba. I might look at Utsa from West Side. But I will buy the kurta or the kurti, my favorite brand and my choice. That's the same which is applicable on e-commerce. So what I want, how I want, how part comes in physical logistics, physically going into a mall or ordering through an online channel. And then and the fundamental thing is, I've got what I want, I've got how I want, when do I want it? I want it now. That means I want it in the next 3 hours. That can also happen by a small drive or a walk towards your nearest mall. That can also happen by ordering on an online app. So the three principal tenets of a consumer, if a business can't cater to, whether it's a physical business or an online business, is what, how, and when. If these are catered, a consumer will give you more ratings. They will give you a great app rating. They will go and talk about that famous store you have been in. And it is applicable to food and beverage. It's applicable to any consumer interaction. And these are the principles of 101 of organized retail and consumer asks, which every online business, every digital business, every digital native business, and a brick and mortar business who are also providing an online presence are trying to cater to. Some are missing the trick, some are learning the trick much faster.
Great. In the interest of time, I would like to have a very final wrap up question to you. It's not a wrap up question. It may open up a lot of other things, but I will confine to one. As we have been reading in the business dailies and many newspapers, that Tata Sons is very keen to now scale up Tata Digital and is setting up the super app plans, which have been already finalized. It has been. It was delayed for some reasons that I personally don't know, but yeah, it was a report that it was delayed. The group's investment in Big Basket, which was a huge investment of $1.2 billion. For a stake of 60 to 63% in the e-grocer space. Other consumer-facing units such as Tata Click has been there in the market. So, what's the direction that Tata Digital is taking? If you can tell us, and going into the future, how do you see that whole thing shaping up and taking on the established, the legacy, the incumbents, if I say so?
That's a very good question, and I'll give you the model which will help you understand it. See, Tata Digital was formed to build internet product platforms and internet businesses. Tata Group has TCS, which is one of the world number one system integrator in the world today as we speak. Tata Communications, where one of the worldwide web's internet traffic runs on across using their optical fiber. So we needed a platform play, we needed a product play, we needed an internet business play. Tata Digital was formed. You will see a lot of internet products, platforms in the consumer commerce space, in the payment space, in the loyalty space. A lot of them, platforms will get built, products will get built. The super app was a dream of Tata Group leadership, a lot of group companies, leaderships, is to bring Tata Group together. Tata Group is a federated conglomerate. Many group companies are listed. And to give you some data, we've got 740 million customers, direct and indirect, out of 1.34 billion people in this country. Flipkart and Amazon are about 200 million each. PhonePe, Google Pay is about 250 million each. If I combine a consumer ecosystem, now, example, Puma to Vistara to AirAsia to Taj to Tata Sky to Tata AIG to Tata AIA to Westside to Starbucks to Zara to Star Bazaar to Tanish to Tata Motors to JLR. It's endless. And there's a fair few million customers each one of them have. Now, if I build a Tata consumer platform or a super app, why not try and keep the Tata's loyal customer base in our ecosystem? It's a phenomenal aspiration. Of course, great leaders like Prateek, Chairman, many leaders are passionately working and helping us build this. And what you hear is right. There will be certain high frequency acquisitions like the basket you mentioned. Digital acquisitions will happen, certain amount of merging will happen. That's the nature of the game we are, right? And we will compete. We always come in last. I always tell this story. When the world of India was reigned by Anjali, PC Chandra, Tribhuvan Das, Kalyan Jewelers, a little young company called Tanishq crept in today's X billion dollars in revenue. Forget its valuation. Um, the turnaround of Tata Motors, when everybody had written us off. When all the wonderful lifestyle companies were reigning, suddenly Westside comes in, and the brands like Utsav, household names. Um, Tata Group always comes in last because they scan the market. We strongly believe that the Indian customer trusts. That trust word is very prevalent, and we don't let India down. Yes, we might go wrong. Of course, we are building businesses, we might go wrong, but our intention is to build the country as well, because 60% of our profit for X many decades still go to charity. And the 40% is what we build in our businesses. So that ethos, Smriti, Rahul remains. Hence, we want to be, yes, profitable, but we want to be the habit of the country, like we've always been.
Phenomenal. I mean, I have no reason to disbelieve that it will not succeed, because it comes from Tata Group. You gave Tanishq's example. I'm not a direct buyer, but in my home now, there is no other. There's nobody allowed to buy jewelry from any other brand or any other local market but Tanishq, frankly speaking. That trust is, of course. I mean, it's ingrained in Tata culture of Tata house. So thank you so much for your time. I wanted to speak more. I wanted to learn more from you, but I think paucity of time. Very, very
speak
valuable.
Again, Rahul. Rahul, thank you so much for having me. Smriti, thank you so much. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.